Warren Buffett, the renowned investor and chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, addressed a crowd's questions at an event. The audience inquires about his views on the rising valuations in the Nasdaq market and foreign company investments.
Concerned about the rising valuations on the Nasdaq market, where companies trade at multiples of revenues instead of multiples of earnings.
The rising value of what did you say?
The Nasdaq market.
Oh.
Where they traded 10 times revenues or more, 30 times revenues instead of 10 times earnings.
Yeah. Well, we don't pay much attention to that because throughout the careers Charlie and I have had in investing, there have always been hundreds of cases or thousands of cases of things that are ridiculously priced and phony stock promotions and the gullible being led into to believe in things that just can't come true. So that's always gone on. It always will go on, and it doesn't make any difference to us. I mean, we are not trying to predict markets. We never will try and predict markets. We're trying to find wonderful businesses, and the fact that a part of the market is kind of screwy, that's unimportant to us. We tried a few times shorting some of those things in our innocence of youth, and it's very tough to make money shorting even the obvious frauds, and there are some obvious frauds. And it really is. It's not so tough to find the obvious frauds, and it's not tough to be right over 10 years, but it's very tough to make money being short them. Although we tried a few times way back. We don't look at indicia from stocks in general or from PEs or price sales ratios or what other things are doing. We really just focus on businesses. We don't care if there's a stock market. I mean, would we want to own Coca-Cola, the 8% we own of Coca-Cola, the 11% of Gillette, if they said we're just going to delist the stock and we're never going to, we'll open it again in 20 years. It's fine with us, and then if it goes down on the news, we'll buy more of it. So we care about what the business does.
Warren Buffett dismisses concerns about rising valuations on the Nasdaq market, stating he and Charlie focus on finding wonderful businesses, not predicting or reacting to market fluctuations. They've encountered overpriced and fraudulent cases throughout their careers, but remain unswayed by such market dynamics. Their investment philosophy centers on long-term business fundamentals rather than short-term stock movements.
It all began with my father discovering, thanks to a professor of finance that was also at the University of Oklahoma, Ben Graham back in 1940. And then later, when Ben Graham was about to retire, we were trying to find his protege. And clearly that was Warren. And so he belongs to that long tradition. But the question I wanted to ask was, you've mentioned the very strong companies that Berkshire has that are really international companies like Coca-Cola and the Gillette. But are you considering, or have you ever thought of considering the foreign companies that are undervalued, or have you for some reason not included that in your universe of companies to consider?
We've looked at companies domiciled in other countries, and we continue to look at companies domiciled in other countries. We wouldn't, we're happy for the U.S. and for Atlanta that Coca-Cola is domiciled in Atlanta, but would we pass on it if it happened to be domiciled in England? No, we'd love it if it were domiciled in England too. And we feel that the important thing is the business, not the domicile, although we're more familiar in a general way with domestic companies that are domiciled here, although they may make their money internationally. And we feel a tiny bit more comfortable, but for just a tiny bit, in terms of understanding the nuances of taxes and politics and shareholder governance and all of that, in something where we've been reading and thinking about it daily than someplace where we've had a little less experience. But we would love to find a wonderful business that is domiciled in any one of 30 or so countries around the world. We look some. We don't look as hard as we look at domestic companies. We're not as familiar with them, but I have read hundreds of annual reports of companies spread around the world, and we've owned a few, just a couple. they're usually not as big, so just getting the kind of money in many cases is more of a problem. But some of them are big, and we do not have such a surplus of ideas that we can afford to ignore any possibilities. And if we can find something with a market cap probably of at least $5 billion or greater that strikes us as having our kind of qualities and the price is right and everything, we will buy.
In his responses, Buffett emphasizes his focus on investing in businesses he understands, especially those with stable industries. He highlights the challenges of predicting market changes and the risks associated with unfamiliar technologies. Buffett's investment philosophy centers on identifying and investing in companies with strong fundamentals and enduring qualities.